Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. I wanted to do a watercolor Wednesday today. And of course, as you all know, we do have art hashtag going on. So this Kawaii Tarot coloring book by Lulu Mayo, I had not started it yet. And when I did the supply haul video last weekend, and I'll put that link up here in the top right, we covered these Dreamland watercolors and the Kuretake. I had a set of gem watercolors I've had for a while, and I got the idea to try these watercolors in this book. I've never tried just full-on watercolors on Lulu Mayo paper before, and after swatching all these out and realizing, you know, I have all these fancy watercolors and I haven't been using them, so we went with Twin Flame, and what was the other one? I'm pointing here. Of course I'm pointing. Give me just a second. Twin Flame and Nisei from the Soulmate and Folklore Dreamland watercolors. Then from the gem set, I'm using the gold and the purple colors. There is the palette, inspirational palette from Sarah Renee Clark's Color Cube. I need to put that in the description. I actually like this so much, I used it on another page in markers that you'll see later this week in my completed pages. I'm also using some of the other folklore paints. I used the Sylph, tried to use the Nymph. It ended up being the Sprite, but no worries there. We used Dryad, and I think I used the Empress from the Major Arcana set, or Arcana. I need to, yeah. Anyway, I use a variety of these fancy watercolors that I have, and let me tell you, I had no idea where this picture was going when I first started, but just foreshadowing, this is probably one of my favorite pictures this year when everything's said and done, because I had a plan, I had a color palette, but as you all know, I never just go by the color palette, right? I always add a couple extra colors in, and that's what I do in this page. So this is a demo. I don't necessarily call these tutorials because most of the time I'm trying these out for the first time, or it's been a while, so I don't like calling them tutorials, but so that's why it's called a demo. It's also going to have part of a color and chat in it, because I'm not going to be able to do a color and chat for a couple weeks, and I know some of you are probably wondering how Bagheera is doing and how I'm doing. So I do want to put that on the bottom, like second half of this, but I do, you know, want to talk about the picture and the process, the first part of it, which I think some of y'all love both, some of y'all only want to be here for the one part, so that's cool. Like I said, I'm just glad you came by, even if it's for just a minute or two to see what's what. So this is Nisei, or Nisa, from the Folklore Dreamland watercolor set. Now, Dreamland watercolors are interesting because typically she just doesn't have those available on her storefront where you can go and just buy them. She will do a pre-order announcement where she'll show the set that she's releasing to take pre-orders for, and she'll show the swatches and stuff, and then you pre-order them and then you get them in like a couple months or whatever. So basically she collects the funds needed to create the watercolors in bulk, which I think is smart. Sorry, I'm playing around. That's one thing, because of the iridescent nature of these watercolors and because of the shiny effect of them, my camera, you can see it'll get bright and it'll get dull, and if that's annoying to people, I'm sorry. Hopefully you've got something you're coloring or working on and you're just looking up every now and then. I tried my darndest to figure out how to not do that, make it not do that, and it just wasn't happening. So I think it's just particular to these types of watercolors and the fact that there's so much shine to them. But the sets that I'm noting, you know, you can go and look at them in the store And what I'll do in the community tab is I'll let you guys know when a pre-order's up. I wonder if I can do this. I need to stand up for a little bit. I'm raising up my desk while I'm doing this. My watch is yelling at me about taking steps, so I thought, hey, maybe this will work. Probably not, but we'll try. What was I gonna say? Excuse me. Oh, I'll let you guys know when a pre-order's up, and she may rotate some of these sets back in. I don't know. I've only bought like 3 or 4 sets from her. They are premium watercolors, I will say that. I have been embracing the treat yourself way of life here lately. But I'll let you guys know. You can also sign up for text or the email where she announces these. So just a heads up there. And they're beautiful watercolors, and I was really excited to have an opportunity to try them out. You'll notice I'm using an Arteza water brush, which is my go-to just pretty much for any watercolor based coloring page. I think they activate dry media well, like neocolors and stuff. And actually, Colorfully Optimistic, I might put the link below, did a really interesting video where she compares activating like neocolors and stuff with a regular watercolor brush in a cup compared to a watercolor brush in a cup compared to a water brush like this that has the continuous flow of water through it. And I might link that below because it's a real interesting video, and it never would have. It makes sense now that I think back on how I've activated stuff and gotten frustrated when stuff's not dissolved very well when I'm using just a regular watercolor brush. And a lot of it just has to do with the paper. It's not necessarily the brush. You just, on non-watercolor paper, you generally need a little more constant flow of water to activate stuff. And I think that's probably why. In this paper, so I've activated Neocolor 2 and watercolor pencils on Lulu Mayo books, but I've never just put flat regular watercolor down. So I was really curious how this would go. Her paper can have some nuances to it. I've also activated the King Art gel sticks on there, and gel crayons, whatever they're called, and I didn't particularly like how they did on this paper, so I was a little apprehensive that these wouldn't go down well, but I'm telling y'all, these went down so well. The biggest problem I ran into, which is going to be the case on a page, so another reason I use the water brush is it basically introduces the least amount of water to the page. And in coloring books that don't have like watercolor paper or high-end paper, I'd say, Lulu Mayo is probably like a medium quality. It's not super thick cardstock like paper, but it's certainly better than the 90 GSM, the 90-pound paper that Amazon uses. Yeah, I saw that from somebody the other day. They had said that Amazon paper currently is on 90 GSM white paper, 55 pound, excuse me, white paper. That is the basic standard, I think, unless you pick like the premium paper or something. So it's better than Amazon paper, but it's not like cardstock or super watercolor friendly paper. So I didn't think this would do well, but it really did. And like I said, the only thing I would note is that on these, because they're iridescent, I was going with a light layer. Normally I would like really load these suckers up and like get that just super shimmery, loaded up with as much water as possible to get that deep shimmer and color, because I'm more efficient, right? Like I prefer to just do one layer than 2 or 3. But again, I didn't know how this paper would react to that, or if it would make it more fragile to introduce more water. So I do come in and do a couple layers with a lot of these paints, not all of them, but like this one and the other one I use for the sunset, I have to go back in and use a couple layers with. I think with the Kuretake, I didn't have to do another layer, except in little spots that I didn't quite get very well. Like the Kuretake actually went down pretty smooth. But by then I felt a little more confident and I was using a little more water. Like this was, like I said, when I say this is a demo, a test, this was very much so a test. And it passed. Like I said, you'll see at the end, the paper didn't get crinkled at all. Not like Amazon paper. No bleed through. I take that back. I'm looking at the back of the page now. What is happening up there in the top right? So there was a little bit of bleed through with the Dreamland, the sunset rays at the top. It looks like some of the color did come through. That's interesting. The rest of it looks pretty good though. And because this is a single-sided book, this was why I wanted to test it on this paper. And so it does come through a little bit. So if I want to use the watercolors on here, I might just the orange, just the twin flame, which was part of the what set? Soulmate set. It was just that bright orange color, and it only came through part of the picture. I should have showed that at the end. Oh well. But no, didn't wrinkle the paper at all. Even when I added multiple layers. So, thumbs up on using watercolors like your Artisan metallic watercolors. I have Paul Rubin. I have, wow, that was loud. I would say using watercolors on these pages without treating them seems to do really well. Now, I can't say that for every single type of watercolor, but with the more premium level watercolors, it seems like this works very well. So, yeah, so I was inspired from this picture by some of the other colorists out there on YouTube who have been using these types of watercolors like the metallic and iridescent and stuff. When I see them, I think, oh, I've got to use them like all over. Well, it ends up being all over the page anyway, but I think big with them. Like I got to use them as a background, or I got to use them in big areas. And like I've noticed colorists who create beautiful pages just by coloring part of the picture or a couple sections of the picture with the metallic or the iridescent, just to really set it off and make it pop. And so I kind of drew inspiration from that, and I wanted to create a page that wasn't just the shiny iridescent and metallic watercolors, because I, wanted to see what it would be like if they were part of a page rather than just nothing but that. And I end up using them, I got carried away with them, and ended up using them on more of the page than I had planned. So it ends up being like 75% of the watercolor. But in all honesty, at the end, I added, so just as a heads up, so we're going to be doing the watercolor first. I don't know why there's a pause here. We're going to be doing the watercolor first. This is going to annoy me. Why are we pausing? Why? Oh, there we go. I was looking for the other paint, I think. So that's the Soulmate set. It's like a tiny little 4 set. And that orange in there, that twin flame, is what showed through in part of the picture. So I will probably refrain from using those in like a double-sided Lulu Mayo book in the future. But everything else seemed to do pretty well in this set. So as always, like I said, I would recommend you test yours first. Um, unless, unless it's this particular brand and this particular set, all sets have nuances. Some sets require more water than others to activate. I do call these premium watercolors because they don't require as much water to get going. So results may vary. However, um, these types, like the iridescence and stuff, did do really well. And like I said, about 75% of the page ends up being the watercolors, which is more than 100, right? But I do the watercolor. Then I'm going to briefly show you what's left. I go over with Tombow water-based markers. So we got double watercolor summer happening here. Then I use a black glaze pen and get carried away with that. And then I do the Prismacolor pencils because their colors match so well with the palette and the base of the Tombow markers. And so it ends up being a multimedia picture. I also use alcohol marker on the outer edge just because I didn't feel like shading that in with pencil and I wanted a smooth color. And I didn't mind if like the border bled through. I like the text on the other side. It really doesn't matter in this book if stuff bleeds through, but I do like that little section with the text. So I'm trying to preserve it where possible, but like that border doesn't cover the text or anything. So, but it still took 2 layers of the Copic. I used a Copic marker. It still took 2 layers. So alcohol marker in Lulu Mayo books is a little weird. It kind of reminds me of the Zendoodle books in their paper. Is it called Zendoodle? Like the Deborah Muller Zendoodle coloring books. Those are weird with markers too. Unless you have a super saturated like budget marker or permanent marker. If you use like a higher end marker like a Copic, it can be very streaky on that paper and you have to use like multiple layers to get it smooth. This paper acts the same way because when I put that first layer of Copic marker down, it looked about as streaky as the Tombows and I was like, that's really weird. So I did another layer and it was fine. But just a heads up there, if you were planning on using alcohol marker in your Lulu Mayo books, that is also my experience. So I learned a lot from this picture. So we're going to go through, I'm going to add this twin flame and then, or maybe it was the other one. I don't know. It's one of these colors. It went weird. I think it all pulled in on like the inner crease and that's why it did that because it seems like that's the only place it did that, right where the inner edge of the page is. But just look how sparkly that is. I do also struggle with the lighting because this page is so sparkly. Because I know it's bright and shiny, and so next time I do this, I'm probably going to like get a small piece of paper and try to cover part of the page up that has the paint just so it's not like glaring. As my lighting improves through the day, it looks better, but in the morning I heavily have to use my lamp instead of natural light, which is why you get like super shiny effects. That's why my lighting changes so much during the day because the sun goes over the front of my house as the day goes on and my office is at the front of the house. But it's going to speed up here in a few minutes as I'm adding the other watercolors, but I just wanted to give y'all a real-time look at how this works. I needed to add in, more dots of water to get the paint going in the pan every now and then, but like I said, and as you can see as it dries, I wanted to be prudent here and just use a thin layer, and so I went over multiple times, and like I said, there wasn't hardly any bleed through, even with going over multiple times. So but yeah, so let's see. Oh, so why am I doing this? One of the reasons is Watercolor Summer 2023, which I'm like pushing every video now, but I just want to make sure people see it. There are a lot of tags out there. So Watercolor Summer 2023 is a tag. Watercolor Summer I've done the past 3 years, and I like the tag because it helps encourage people to try using water in their coloring books. Because of the issues that I mentioned, water can be tricky to use in coloring books because of paper quality. And so I like, but I like a challenge every now and then, and you get such pretty effects like what I get here that I want to be able to encourage people to use water-based mediums in their books. It can be any water, basically as long as you're using water on the paper. So if it's a water-based marker, acrylic paint, Tammy brought up a good point the other day. Acrylic paint has got water in it, so that would count. Activating Neocolor 2s or gel crayons or gelatos. Using any sort of watercolors on a paper would count. And you can pre-treat the paper, you can just have it as is, you can print a digital copy onto better paper and color it there. This is a really flexible tag. Like, seriously, if you have a page and it's Crayola Super Tips or water-based markers, it counts, because water-based markers can also have their own nuances in coloring books because they tend to be a little streaky. They don't have as much saturation of color as, say, alcohol markers do. So I count those. It's a very flexible tag. I am co-hosting with Tammy Colors 2. Her info is down in the description as well. And she's joining me, my partner in crime, so to speak. I don't know what crime we're committing, though for some people putting watercolor in coloring books could be considered a crime. The coloring police might come arrest me. So we're going to be rebels together. Anarchy. And I'm sure, like, hopefully I haven't picked up anybody watching this looking for those keywords. We're good. We're good people. I promise. Just talking about coloring. I don't know people showing up to my door. I'm good. You just never know these days, right? Anyway, shoot. Wow, this sped up, but it really looks like it's just normal speed. That's super funny. I could have sped this up even faster. I almost shouldn't I? Nah. So I'm trying to hurry up and get as much of this done as possible because I have to go for, sorry for any guys that are watching, I have to go for the old lady boob scan that they typically do, or tell you to do each year. I don't think I went last year, so I really need to go this year. Just time kind of got away from me. So yeah, gotta go get mammogram today, which is great because my chest is sore anyway, so this will be a fun trip. But it is necessary, and I am a lady of a certain age. I think my mom at one point said she was like 39 forever. I won't go that far, but I'm not too far off from 39, I guess. Not yet. And here I'm finally dipping into the other colors of the folklore set. We've got our green happening. I cannot remember what the color was. I think it was Dryad. And then we're going to be putting in a blue as well. So yeah, I basically would just pick certain areas of the picture. So having a balance of the colors throughout was important to me for this picture. So that's basically what I did, is I just go through it and kind of disperse the colors as I see fit. And yeah, what am I trying to think of? Oh, anyway, I really wanted to get this done and processing before I left so that when I get back I can just load it. I also have to go mail off a very special package to a friend. And that's all I'm going to say. But I'm so easily distracted today. I don't usually have to leave the house, so any day I have to leave the house is a scatter day for me, because it's all these events leading up to leaving the house, and then when I get back, I'm trying to do as much as I can so that when I get back I can just kind of chill. But I can't do that today because I ran out of time. Because I wanted to finish this picture, and I had, of course, work this morning to do, And I just, like I said, I really wanted to show you guys the finished picture. I wanted to be done before the end of the month, and I'm so glad I did. Like I said, I'm really proud of this one. And like I said, this just goes to show you I was very hesitant and nervous to try these paints in this book, but it just turned out so good. And you know, sometimes they don't. There are a lot of my pictures that just don't turn out very good. Using watercolors, if you'll remember some of the pictures I painted early on last year in my 50 Jungle Miniatures book using watercolors on untreated paper, I definitely had some flops. But and I show those as much. This was a demo. This was going up whether this turned out good or not. Yeah, because I show you guys the whole thing. I show you the good and the bad and the ugly. Like, so I think Tammy said it, and who else? Pictures go through an ugly phase a lot, and then all of a sudden they turn pretty, and that was this picture. For sure. I felt like it was going through an ugly phase there for a while. So but anyway, watercolor summer goes on from July to September. What I plan to do is my completed pages on Sunday. Yes, we're going to do them on Sunday because it's not quite the end of the month, but I'm going to go ahead and do them this weekend. And because I want to officially flip over my planner and stuff on the 1st, and I feel like I'm ready to this time instead of needing a week to catch up. And the second half of the completed pages is going to be a showcase of people's posts on Instagram. I did see on somebody's video where they said that now when you follow a tag, like, it doesn't necessarily show you all the posts. So I'm going to try to make sure it's showing me everything, but if it's not and I miss your tagged picture, please let me know and I will find it and put it in the next video. And there's already been some posts this month. That might be what I do today. What I'm waiting is go through. I need to comment. Oh my gosh, now I'm yawning. But no time to pause. Just gotta go. Yeah, it ain't too long. I'm gonna have to go ahead and stop and then just pick this up when I come back. That might be what we do. We'll just take the second half of it, which is going to be like a color and chat mixed in with what I'm doing next. But really the biggest thing for the first half of this picture was the demo, because of watercolor summer. I've not used these watercolors before, and you'll see me pull out the Kuretake Gansai Tambi gem colors here in a minute. I use the gold and the purple in that, and along with the rest of these, and it turns out really nice. I was super pleased. This will be a great book to like feature those in, just because I know they do so well. I don't know. There were a lot of things in this page where I was like, man, I kind of want to make this a theme for the book, you know, but we'll have to see. Me, that's for tomorrow me to decide, or next month me, because current me is feeling very productive and very in a coloring mood and stuff. So I'm not going to make any plans for future me because I know how that goes. Speaking of the tarot, by the way, oh my gosh, hang on. I want to make sure I get her channel name right. Oh boy. Why can't I remember her channel name? I need like a little thing that's playing. Here we go. Happy Catastrophe Colors. That's what I was looking for. She's doing a Color the Tarot series. Is she? Okay, yes. YouTube just went wacky. But she's doing a Color the Tarot series, and where she talks about each tarot card. Really interesting stuff. I love all her videos. It's been a few weeks since she's posted. I hope everything's well. She might just be having a busy month. Heck, I know that feeling very well. But she does a really, so I don't know really anything about tarot, and her videos have been really informative, and they've got me in that in this book really got me in the mood to like collect decks, not necessarily use, though I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that, I guess, but for like collecting purposes too. So like I love this book and I love the art in this book, and I believe Lulu Mayo is going to put out a tarot deck with these designs. So I'd like to have that. There's also a Kickstarter cat tarot deck that I contributed to that I'm going to get, just because the art's really cool. But like I need to stop there because y'all know how it goes. Just like with coloring books, just like with any hobby, once you start collecting things like that, then there's always going to be a new one to collect. And next thing you know, I'll have 20 tarot decks, and like I'm not doing anything with them. I'm just looking at them because they're pretty. I guess if something happens with my job, maybe maybe I have a future as a fortune teller. I don't know, but maybe that's my backup plan. That is my side gig. Who knows? And I'm not okay. So not trying to insult anybody by any means, but and I know there's some people that really believe in that kind of thing. This is a judgment free zone. That's why I joke about it. If I joke about it, that means I don't have an issue with any of that. You believe what you want to believe. You pay your bills. It's like judging people how they spend their money. I have learned and grown a bit older and wiser over the years, where before, I mean, everybody's going to judge, even a little bit. You may say you're judge free, but I mean, come on, we all have biases. But for that brief moment where I'm like, why did they do that? Then I go to the, hey, they're paying their bills. They make their money. They don't live in my house, so they can do what they want to do. And that's pretty much the attitude I've tried to adopt in life. And honestly, it's made me a lot happier. I still have my judging moments, but I do move past them. So anyway, so this book really made me interested in it. There's another tarot book I've been kicking around the idea of buying. I think isn't the one that Stratton Peterson does. He also did the Mystic Animals, and he's got some other books that I think are pretty cool. And anyway, so yeah, I think I go with the Empress. I decided I didn't like just that one green, so I wanted a different green. So then we added in the iridescent from the Major Arcana set. Speaking of tarot, and we're also watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I'm not sure what all the different series are, but the series we're in is Jotaro, which is the Stan series. Which involves tarot. It's really funny. Like, isn't it funny how you get interested in something or you learn about something and then suddenly it's everywhere? Like, that's the way it's been with this. It's been really bizarre. So, let's see. I talked about watercolor summer. I've talked about what I'm doing with this picture. But as you can see here, the folklore I'm using, that green and that blue, I didn't really have to go back over, just in the areas that I missed because I was going too quickly. I didn't really have to go back over them. They did really well as a one coat. It was just that orange, and maybe because orange, like a pink, well, I don't know, the pink went down pretty thick too. Maybe it was just the orange color. Like, that particular pigment is hard to get as a one layer coat. Plus, like I said, as I went along, I got a little braver about using more water, just because I realized the page wasn't going to like completely crap out on me. That was probably the main reason. But okay, we're going to stop here. I'm going to come back pick up. I'll be talking about the pictures as we go along, but I'm going to be doing more of a life update in the second half of this video. I have jump links at the bottom as always if you just want to go to a particular part of the process and see how, what I'm doing in the picture, or if you just want to jump to the end and see the finished result, that's perfectly fine by me. Again, I do these, you guys enjoyed them, so I wouldn't be publishing videos if nobody liked them, I guess. But they're also fun for me to do. This is my hobby and thing, so it is not my source of income or anything. And I know everybody's busy right now, and there are so many colorists on YouTube that you're probably listening to me at like 1 1/4 speed, and I probably sound like a little mouse right now because I'm actually up and kind of moving, and kind of mood is up, so I'm not talking as slow as I usually do, but that's okay. Like I said, that's what I have to do sometimes too. So anyway, let me go get my thing done, get all my stuff done, and get back, and then we'll wrap this up, and I will be posting it later tonight. So be back before you know it. All right, I am back. I am fed. I am caffeinated. I don't know if I'm quite ready to take on the world, but I'm good for, I can do some, I can fake it till I make it till bed probably tonight. So, and I'm now drinking a Sprite because I've drank so much caffeine. I am afraid it's going to mess up my sleep tonight. Alright, so here I am fresh from the mammogram. It went alright. If there are any issues, my doctor, of course, let me know. Look at the sparkle on that. Isn't that pretty? That's the major arcana. The Empress color, I think. No. I can't remember. It wasn't Empress. It was one of the others. Dang it. I'll have to go look. It's going to bug me if I don't go look. Anyway, because I'm looking. No, it is Empress. I'm right. Anyway, looks fantastic. I love how glittery these are. Yeah, everything went all right. I made the nurse laugh. She was, and I totally get it because I've been there too. She was having a day where she was having trouble finding her words, and we had done one set of scans, and she's like, yep, only 2 more sets to go. And then she's like, wait, no, that's not right. It's 1 more set. And I looked at her and I was like, yeah, I was wondering exactly where we were going with that second set there you're talking about. I was like, because I only have 2 last time I checked. And oh my gosh, she about fell out. So that was pretty funny. Hey, that is an uncomfortable time, I think, for everyone involved, and she was really awesome in trying to make me feel comfortable. So I figured, if you can laugh about it, then all the more fun. So, anyway, so here's the Kuretake watercolors over here. These are the gem colors. I'm going to be using that purple there and then the gold. So I'm just getting those prepped. And yeah, I went and had that done. It was super quick. A little painful because my chest is kind of sore. I'll explain in a little while why that is. I can't remember if I've talked about this. I think I did in one of the previous videos last weekend. But after I left, it was like 4 o'clock, and I normally wouldn't get any caffeine this late in the day. But I knew if I didn't, and I got home after I ate, I was going to be sleepy, and I wanted to finish this video up. So there was a Dutch Brothers right there, which is my favorite like chain coffee place to go to. And so I stopped, and I was just going to get what's called a fire lizard, which is tea with like strawberry and banana, and it is really good. Like, highly recommend if you like fruity types of teas. Tammy, I thought of you, of course, when I went to get tea. And she asked me if I wanted black tea or green tea today. And I'm like, let's try the green tea, because I can't remember which one I got. I think I got the black tea last time. The green tea is so good. So good. And I was like, really, that's probably the only caffeine I need. But I couldn't resist. I love their mochas, and today I decided to be extra extra and get caramel in it. And y'all, both those drinks together, like angels were singing. It was so amazing. No regrets. I'll say at 2 a.m. as I'm on the couch because I can't go back to sleep. No regrets. But they were delicious and amazing, and I am glad I got those. And then had to make a couple other stops. I'm proud of myself for actually stopping and doing errands on top of everything. I'm feeling productive today, perhaps not work wise, but life wise in general. I feel pretty productive, and that's always a good day because those feel so few and far between lately. But of course, I hit rush hour traffic on the way home, and so I live outside of Nashville, but I live up close to the Kentucky line, so I'm about an hour north. Well, like an hour north if there's no traffic. If there's rush hour traffic, it's 2 hours. But where I go to the next city over to do most of my doctor's appointments and stuff like that, it's about a 30-minute drive there and back. And it's on a one-lane road. And that one-lane road should have been changed to 2 lanes like 10 years ago. It is ridiculous because there are hardly any jobs in the town I live in. So everybody here commutes to the next town over and like from there to Nashville and all the cities in between. So when it gets to hit like rush hour, and with the way the factories let out, it could start as early as 3 o'clock, being a bit dicey coming home because you're in this one lane of traffic. And there's this one light on the very edge of town that just does not stay green very long. And so you wind up in this huge line of cars. And it's not a fun experience. And anyway, so I knew I was going to have to do that. And I was going to stop and have another it was a treat yourself kind of day because I had to go get stuff squished in the machine, and I was rewarding myself for my one little trip out. And since I wasn't planning on going anywhere this weekend, I was like, I normally get like fast food at Sonic once a week. I was like, today will be my fast food day. And then I was like, I'm going to be sitting in that traffic for 20 minutes, hardly moving. I might as well get something to eat on the way out of town. That way when I get home, I can get right back to my video. And there's less chance of me eating and then not moving from the couch for the rest of the evening. And let's take a small break here just to say, I love the Dreamland watercolors, but man, those Kuretake ones, you see how smooth those have went on? That is one layer of the gold. Like, it is very, very good. And the purple too. I didn't have to go back over the purple. So, really like those. Hadn't used those before either. Been meaning to use the starry ones, which are like the gold and silver ones, for a while. I also have the Cleros that I need to use. So here I am going back over these areas. Like I said, they dried. I wasn't real thrilled with them, so I figured we'd do another layer. Anyway, so I went ahead and stopped on my way home, and I just felt very efficient today. Downed both my mocha and my fire lizard tea. And I still do not feel like, you would think I'd be bouncing off the walls. And I feel like I might be okay for the next 2-3 hours, but then I'm going to start getting really sleepy. It's just, I have chronic fatigue. I mean, it's how it goes. But the downside to chronic fatigue is, especially if you are sensitive to things like caffeine, is there's a limit to, well, for me, there's a limit. I can drink so much caffeine that it just stops working. If I'm tired enough during the week, it'll just be like, nope, it's just like water. It does nothing. Probably nothing but make me anxious. And I already have enough of that. I don't need that in my life. Any more, in any size, I do not need more of that. And because I also have chronic anxiety. I have a lot of chronic issues. Um, Sorry. It's just been go, go, go. It feels like all day. And right now it's just like I'm trying to stop. Um, my husband and I are going to work on a puzzle tonight. I told him at 7 we were going to work on one because I keep promising we're going to finish it up. And every night this week has been work or something else going on, and I just have not had the energy. So we're going to tonight while I still have a little bit of energy. But anyway, normally in the morning I'll drink like 2 cups of coffee. I've been drinking, used to be just 1 cup. Then I upped it to 2, and it's been a noticeable uptick in my productivity. Oh, so here we are. It is all dried. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Like I said, it was more than I intended on the picture using paints. But I just couldn't stop using them. They were so fun. And it turns out great. So I'm not concerned about it. So here I am using water-based markers as a base. Usually I would use alcohol markers on a single-sided book. However, I'm trying to preserve the text on the other side. And I wanted to try these because I think it's Emma Colors uses a lot of water-based markers with pencil over the top. And I don't use my tombows very much. And I've got to start doing that because I've had them a long time. And I just bought another set. Well, they were marked down for Prime Day. And let me tell you, the day after I bought them, they're going to be here tomorrow. The day after I bought them, they went back up to like $260. So again, no regrets. That gives me incentive to use them more though now. I just noticed I was using them a lot in my journaling, in my planning. And I like using them to fill in and highlight and do this stuff. So I figured, I'll just go ahead and order another set, and I'm going to start using these more. So that's cool, but I'm using the yellow to outline the cat and the clouds. I had an idea on the cat. The very first year I colored, I did these really cute cats in I think it was the Kittens book by Marjorie Sarnett, and I had just left them white but just lightly shaded in some pink around the edges, and they turned out so cute. And with the color scheme in this picture, I wanted to do that as well. So I'll show the color scheme again in a minute, but I did add purple and green to that because, like I said, I can't it's really hard for me to stick to just 5 colors, especially when one of them is solid black. It's very hard for me to do that. So that's a good challenge for me in the future. But I typically don't use water-based just because they're kind of streaky. Even the tombows, you see, like if I went over them again, they wouldn't be streaky, but probably as streaky. But I think I'm going to use them more because they seem to do fine in this picture in small spaces with the pencil over them. So I also really like to use them on a palette and pick them up with a water brush. That gives you a really light pastel kind of color. So okay, yep, life updates. Hang on just a minute. All right, I just wanted to make sure I could see where we were at in the video. So here I am. This section doesn't take very long at all because most of this picture is already filled in. And there are a lot of white areas that I'm going to fill in with a black glaze Jelly Roll gel pen for the black part of the color palette. So I really didn't have that much left to do here at all. The pencil shading really was going to be the longest part of it. And I didn't worry about I started to worry about going around the circles, and then I'm like, I'm just going to fill those in with the pen, so why don't I just go ahead and color over them? The black pen's going to cover it up anyway. So, yeah. And again, I apologize. I know the shine on this picture is pretty severe. As we go through this, you'll notice that it gets better as the lighting improves. So, yeah, I did all that today. Well, first off, I'll switch things up a bit and talk about Bagheera. I haven't talked about him much in the past few weeks because a lot of it's just been kind of waiting and seeing. And I do apologize because I do color off camera a little bit because I forget that the camera is not on the whole picture. Sorry about that. For those of you who don't know, Bagheera had started showing some odd symptoms. He wasn't eating as much. He was throwing up like almost daily. His litter box was looking pretty bad, like even more so than, like, he is the champion of stinky litter box. Like, no. Leroy might come close, but Leroy at least covers up. Bagheera doesn't even bother. And so that is why he is reigning champion. And anyway, his litter box was looking particularly a little worse. He was drinking more water. I was concerned about his kidneys. I was concerned because he is diabetic, and while his diabetes has been managed very well with the insulin, he's even lost some weight to the point where we're down to like 3 units a day. It's like 2 in the morning and 1 at night. It's like hardly any insulin. And we don't have to like check his blood sugar daily or anything. We just go get it checked every 3 months. I'm thankful for that. But he was just, his symptoms seemed off, and he also takes thyroid meds. And so I thought, could it be his thyroid? Could it be his blood sugar? Could it be his kidneys? Those kidneys have always been good. So we took him in for some blood work, and that was when I was on my trip. The vet had called and said she was worried he had something called Cushing's, which is where your adrenal glands produce more steroids than they should. And it causes like stomach issues. It causes extra water drinking. Usually causes their blood sugar to spike, which was very unusual for him. So he is a unique case. She thinks he has a little Cushing's. He does not have a tumor on his adrenal glands. He did not have super elevated cortisol levels, so she seems confident he does not have a tumor on his pituitary gland. But she started him on melatonin, which has been shown to reduce steroid levels. She didn't want to start him on the med that like reduces. There's an actual med out there that reduces steroid output, but she doesn't feel like he's there yet, so she just wanted to do the melatonin first. Plus he's been really restless and it would help him sleep. We did that. We did a broad antibiotic just to clear up any potential infection issues, and he was on a lot of medicine for a couple weeks. I mean, he's still on a lot of medicine, but it was a rough couple weeks, and it was a lot of wait and see. He's also having little tics, almost like seizures, like, you know, head tics. And I thought they were focal seizures. So after a couple weeks, his litter box just got worse, like way worse. Like, he decided he was a conceptual artist, and you could look at it and turn your head and be like, is this conceptual art? Is this like, it's like an ink blot picture only with poop instead of ink. And it was just, it was really crappy art. Okay. My one joke for the day. Anyway, it was really bad. Really bad. Like, and you could tell his stomach was still upset. He was still, he needs to lose weight. He's still a big boy at like 16 pounds, but he's big framed. So like the vet said, if he ever got down like 14 pounds, that would be a good weight for him. He's a big framed cat, kind of like a Maine Coon, so to speak, but he's all feral and inbred history, I'm sure. No purebred about that one. Well, purebred could be also inbred, I guess. Alright, so before I get back to that, here it is with the tombows. Here is the swatch. Again, I added the green and purple. I did use Prismacolors. I'm going to start shading, and then you're going to see me come in with the glaze gel pen, because then I decided I wanted to outline all that first before I finished shading. So it's going to go back and forth a little bit. But you'll really see this picture start to come together here soon. So, I mean, it's looking really good as is, but like that black glaze gel pen just really sets it off. So, um, but anyway, so he went back to the vet after 2 weeks, and I was like, and he would get up and walk a little bit and then have to rest a lot because he had lost so much weight, he had lost muscle tone. Um, and he dropped like a pound in a couple weeks. It was, and then he gained the pound back in a week. But um, he's just like, a lot of it was just wait and see. And his biggest problem was his stomach. He wasn't throwing up anymore, but it was the other end that was the problem, and he was just miserable. I could tell he was miserable. We were miserable. It was an ugly situation for everybody. And he was having to go multiple times, and it was affecting his appetite, making him real picky about food. So when we went back, I was like, his stomach seems to be his biggest problem. We've managed to get the throwing up. When he does throw up, it's right after he comes out of the litter box. So his stomach's obviously causing him the most discomfort. And so she, because of that and the tics, the seizures, she started him a gabapentin. And y'all, that gabapentin has helped a lot. I think it's cut a lot of the pain that he was having through his stomach. Plus the melatonin, she says, takes a while to take effect. And I think it is starting to kick in as well because he has been resting a lot better. Like, he has just been out. I've been jealous of how well he's been sleeping lately. He is being more independent and less clingy, which is always a sign to me that the cats are feeling better. His appetite's back in spades. He gained a pound in a week, y'all. I've been weighing him at a home and making sure the scale's accurate. He gained a pound. It was like ridiculous. And his appetite's definitely back. And the best thing, his litter box has improved. Like, I can't tell you, 50 to 75%. It is so much better. In fact, it looks better than I think it has in years. And he just seems like he had such a good week last week. And I am so happy. We've had such a rough year with the cats, with health issues. Leroy is doing well, but he's still about once a week. We'll go 2 or 3 days where he gets like a stomach upset and doesn't want to eat. So we're still trying to figure his mess out. And just with what happened with Scamper and Sidonia and with Bagheera, it just hasn't been a good year with us and the cats. And I don't know what this means. I don't know what his future holds in terms of longevity. All I know is that he is feeling so much better right now, and he looks better, and he's happy, and that's the most important thing to me. So I'm trying for once not to worry about the future and just be grateful that he's doing so well now. She did want to start him on a 1 milligram steroid to help with his stomach issues. I'm a little confused because I thought steroids were the problem, but my guess is this is a different type of steroid than what his body's putting out. His body's not really putting out the cortisol as much. It's putting out more of like his boy hormones and the type that steroids, and then the type of steroids that, like processed minerals and stuff in your body. She thinks he's putting out a lot of that. Now, does that mean he doesn't have any tumors on his adrenal glands as far as she can tell, which was the likely culprit? So what does that mean? My guess is we probably just caught it really early. But because I watch these cats like a hawk. And that's probably going to be the case. And so, like I said, I'm just trying to focus on the now. And he had such a good week, and we've caught a small break for at least a week or two. At least a week or two we've had some good progress, and so I'm just gonna embrace that and try to maintain a level of positivity here for once in my life with the cats. So right now he's doing so well. Oh, look. Here we are with all the black glaze pen. I went nuts. I was only going to fill in certain sections, and then I started messing with the lines. And I said, gosh, it just looks so darn good with that thick black glaze gel pen lining everything. And so what did I do? I went back in, and every line now has black glaze gel pen on it, even around the edges. And this is a dangerous thing to do because it looks so good. I want to do this through the book. And it uses up a lot of glaze gel pen. And two of those is like $10 on Amazon. So I don't know if I will do that with every picture, but man, it just transformed this picture for me. I don't know. It made such a difference. I liked it before, but man, this just really set it off for me. And so here I am, going in with my pencils. Yes, I'm using my Prismacolors. Aren't y'all proud of me? This is like the second time in 2 months, 3 months I've used my Prismacolors. What is going on with me and pencils lately? This is so weird. Um, but no, he's doing great. He really is. The only problem is I don't think the gabapentin's doing anything for his seizures, his tics. I think I say tics and you think like the tick bug, and no, I'm talking like he startles, like his head almost like sometimes even his leg will kind of startle. And I've been watching him, not as much this week because as he's been more independent, I don't have as much opportunity to watch him. But one really weird thing that's been happening, y'all, I've always joked that if you stare at him long enough, he is always, since the day he was dragged out from under that porch as a feral kitten and brought home, has always been just nervous. Like it was in his DNA to be scared of everything. Loud noises, people staring at him too long, like just anything, and he's going under the bed. Like nobody other than my brother ever sees him around the house. And it's always been that way. And we've had, a lot of things. He loves going out on the porch though. But, he usually comes running in anytime there's a lot of loud noises to be had. But we've noticed here in the last 6 months, he doesn't seem as skittish as he once was. And I'm talking, he's 16 years old. He's been like that probably since the day he was born. And it kind of perplexed us for a while. I mean, granted, if he knows somebody else is in the house, he still goes and hides. Like, it's not a complete different, he's not going up to people. Like, we have pests, not that we have people in the house, but like pest control comes by, he's not just walking up begging to be pet or anything. It's not a complete 360 or 180, excuse me. If it was 360, it'd be right back around. But it's enough where we've been kind of perplexed. But I was looking at something online, and I was like, what type are there type seizures out there that gabapentin won't treat, and it might be a different height. And it was something, I can't think of the name of it now, but it's cats right at his age who develop a loss of hearing, develop these like tics, and a lot of times it's high pitched noises that are setting them off. And probably noises that we can't even hear, because when cats' hearing goes, the low pitched sound goes first. And I'm telling y'all, it sounds. The only thing I can't figure out is what the high pitched sound is, unless it's something we can't hear. That could be setting it off. And there's other medications he would have to take, which I'm a little hesitant about because gabapentin has just done so well. So I don't know, but like, I went out there today and he was asleep. And y'all, I walked up to him. I had to touch him on his head to wake him up. And I have never gotten that close to him without his head snapping up and being like, what are you doing? So I think a lot of it's due to hearing loss. And so right now we're just weekly updating the vet. I'm weighing him twice a week. She knows how I watch the cats. So she's like, I don't need to see him back unless he's losing weight or he starts doing worse. And so he had a great week, and so we're just going to continue to monitor him. But I am going to mention this to her because that's the one thing. His little tics, his seizures don't seem to be any better after a week on gabapentin. So I just do wonder if those are something else. If they're being caused by the hearing loss, then that's a much better cause, in my opinion, than what I'm afraid of. Um, and so, um, yeah, so that's been the one weird thing. So we're going to see. I'm going to message her and see what she thinks. But he's doing really well. I still have things to talk about. We're going to stop for a minute because I'm about to show y'all the finished picture. I just wanted to show y'all how I was shading in the cat a bit. Not doing as well as I wanted to. But look at this. Isn't this amazing? Like, y'all know I'm not one to toot my own horn, so to speak, but like, I love how this one came out. It's so pretty. And the black glaze gel pen it was pretty beforehand, but man, that just set it on another level. I love that this used multiple things. I was able to use the watercolors easily without a lot of trouble, the pencil without a lot of trouble, the gel pen. It just took some time, right? But it was really not. Usually, if I have to use a lot of pencil, something kind of becomes tedious to me. I get ready to finish a picture very quickly when I'm having to use pencil over multiple days. And so like this, the pencil use I had was so small. I was so just, and it turned out so good. But like, I feel like the pencil was necessary. I could have left it without it and it would look good. But like, I'm proud of myself that I actually had an idea for this picture and it came out even better than what I anticipated, which is very unusual. But so you guys get to see, the watercolors did really well. I'm very pleased with them. This book, I will probably try to feature those types of watercolors heavily in here. The paper seemed to take them really well, and so I will be utilizing like my metallics and my like metal, my metallics, my iridescents, probably some paint and stuff in this book. This will be like my shimmery fun book, perhaps. We'll just do that, and I'm sure I'll incorporate it in other pictures too. But maybe this will be the book for that. And yeah, so I can't believe it's already been an hour. So great news about Bagheera. Leroy's doing really well, actually. I finally found a dry food in his prescription that he'll eat as long as I mix it with the other food that he was eating. And so everybody's kind of eating it, but I think it's fine. Bagheera has no special diet. It's just give him food. But the problem is, if he keeps eating like he is now, he's going to be back up to 23 pounds. I think it was close to 25 at one point, y'all. He was a big boy. And he still is a big boy, but nothing like he was. And, so that's my fear. Like, it's like, okay, when I guess 18 pounds might be the point where we say, okay, I don't know if he'll ever gain all his muscle tone back. He does still need to rest some, but it's not like it was before. The only a lot of times the reason he lays and rests now is because of the sedation effects of the medication. So both the melatonin and gabapentin have a sedation effect on him. But he's been taking them long enough now that like he snoozes really well. But if he wants to get up and get a drink of water, or gets up and comes in here and screams for food or whatever, he'll do that. Like, I mean, it's not to the point where he hardly moves all day. Like, I see him get up and move around the porch and stuff like that. He just sleeps a lot. But you know what? He seems very happy. He's still purring, and he's not coming up to us. I knew he wasn't feeling good when he was wanting to come to us for affection so much. He doesn't usually do that. If you go to him and pet him, he will purr all day long. He loves to be brushed. He is a lovey boy, but he just typically doesn't go to seek out affection. So I knew when that he wasn't feeling good, because I've had other cats do that in the past. So the fact that he's getting more independence is just a great sign. And I'm so happy about that. Like, I think that's really just been the biggest thing, is that he's doing well. I don't know if this will last long term. I don't know what, if he's got 2 more years, if he got a year. I don't, it really just depends. As long, but here it's always been quality of life over quantity. And after going through what I did with Sidonia's camper earlier this year, I just want to embrace when he's doing so well, and just not use all the time worrying about what comes next. Like, just enjoying the time that he is doing well and he's happy. And the fact that his litter box doesn't look like that scene in Daddy Daycare where Eddie Murphy goes into the bathroom after the kids used it, and he's like looking on the ceiling like, how, like it was bad. My poor husband is in charge of litter boxes, and boy howdy, that was a rough period. Hopefully things will continue to improve in that area. And as far as I go, I'm hanging in there. The first week of July, I was all like, I'm going to start planning and being productive and let's go and get this done. And things were going really well for about 2 weeks. And then work got hard again. Not as bad as May, but work got hard. All the worry and stress over Big Era. I've been getting on the treadmill every other day for 10 minutes, which was going really well. I was starting to do deep breathing exercises and meditating, mostly through the week, because that's when I need it the most. And I've seen it. My resting heart rate's actually been coming down a few points. Like, it has actually been helping. I've been doing it long enough now, a couple weeks, that I'm seeing like some actual long-term benefits. So, and it's been particularly helpful at night when I've needed to go back to sleep, because I'll wake up in the middle of the night. If I have to get up and go to the bathroom, my body instantly is like, we're up, let's go. And it's usually really hard to get back to sleep. But that kind of stuff has made it a lot easier. I feel overall a little less anxious and easier to relax when I am in anxious situations. Like, I caught myself doing that today when I was waiting for the mammogram and stuff, just because, I have social anxiety and nobody likes getting things squished in a machine, because it's just darn uncomfortable. But the biggest problem I faced is, after a couple weeks of doing all that, my costochondritis, the inflammation in my ribs, has started acting up again. And anytime you mention chest pain or soreness, of course, everybody's like, oh boy. And, a couple years ago, it flared up so bad, I went to the ER just to be on the safe side. They ran all the tests and everything was fine. And it just turned out it was a bad flare up of that, because I had just went on a trip and I was slinging around luggage and not being careful like I am now. And I just get inflammation in my ribs a lot. In my upper chest, it's where I hold all my stress. It's where all my anxiety. When I'm anxious and stressed, my chest and my upper back will tighten up real bad. It's been a constant trouble area. And I'm trying to make it better with the breathing exercises and getting on the treadmill, loosening up my arms and my chest, using that motion on, not the treadmill, the elliptical, using the handles on there to try to loosen up. I mean, I'm on there for like 10 minutes, and I'm going enough to make my heart rate like 110 to 120. It's moderate, right? It's not intensive. And after a couple weeks, sure enough, it flared up last Friday, and I have been off the treadmill since. It was getting so sore one night, it was scaring me. But like, my heart rate has never, I've been watching, I have a Fitbit Charge 5. I've been watching my heart rate, like my records. It never spikes. It never does anything weird. There's an ECG test on there. It's always shown normal rhythm. And those are actually, when I was looking at it, kind of, at least fairly accurate. And, but like, nothing, I'm not getting any crazy palpitations or stuff. Like, there's nothing showing me that I'm having a heart attack or having anything major wrong with my heart. But this whole time, I'm sitting here like, what is causing my chest to get so inflamed? Like, it's hot to the touch, guys. Like, I put my hand on right under my neck, and my chest is hot to the touch. I've actually done so much better this year with temperature moderation, because I tend to get overheated so easily. But man, since this has flared up, like, I'm burning up all the time just because all the heat that's produced from this inflammation. And I tried to do some stretches. I looked at some physical therapy exercises online to start to do. And of course, it just aggravated everything, made it worse. So I just stopped everything. And then I've been doing every other day a little bit of deep breathing meditation, just because I need it. Like, I need to be able to. This inflammation's never going to fully go away until probably I can learn to relax my chest entirely, where it's not getting as tight all the time like it is now. I know that's part of the problem. It's continuously relaxing, then contracting and getting tight again is probably what's causing the inflammation. And it may take some time, but I've got to figure out how to get past this. Otherwise, I mean, I'm getting on a treadmill and I'm doing meditation, and it's causing me pain. And it's like, you can't get much more minor than that in terms of trying to just slowly build up, right? Like, slowly build up your ability to do things. Like, can't get much less than that. And I do not have time to go to physical therapy once or twice a week with this job like I did my previous job. So I really hope I can find something at home that can help me. Like, maybe it's just going to take some time. I do have an appointment with my cardiologist for my yearly checkup at the end of the month. If it is still doing this by then, I'm going to really see if I can advocate for, like, we've done a Holter monitor and everything. I'm going to see if maybe they can do an ultrasound, like, just to make sure there's not something going on that's causing further aggravating the inflammation. I also see my regular doctor. I thought I was going to see her this week, but I moved it. I go see her for my physical on the 16th, and we're going to talk about it there as well. If I've got to do physical therapy, I got to do it, because I've got to be able to get past this. This has been a constant problem for me for years, and it's just going to continue if I don't do something to be able to, like, relax and get past this constant inflammation. Like, it's just going to continue to get worse. Like, I feel like it's getting worse instead of better over time. And it's not supposed to be a super chronic condition. It's only supposed to be, like, random attacks. So the fact that I'm having it chronically, I just want to make sure there's nothing underneath that's causing it that nobody's catching. Again, a weird symptom coming up, and probably the explanation I'm going to get is, we don't know what's causing this, we just know it's there. And so let's come up with some way to mask that symptom, but we're still not going to figure out what the bigger problem is. And that's very frustrating. I've been doing planner stuff, I've been trying to meditate, and I've been trying to get on the elliptical. Like, 3 things. My therapist said, keep it simple with 3 things. And it's like, I can't even do those 3 things without dealing with extra pain and soreness. And it's just so frustrating. This is why it's so hard to do these things. This is for people with chronic illness, that people are like, well, why don't you just one day decide to get up and do something? And you do, and you start small, and then your illness doesn't sit there and care whether you're doing something minor or doing something major. Like, if it just wants to come in and F things up, it's going to, when it has a mood to. And so my biggest thing is, I just don't want to quit again. But I'm going to give it a few more days, and I'm going to try to get on the treadmill again. And if it flares up again, I'm going to keep with the meditation, and then maybe just wait. I keep saying treadmill, and I mean elliptical. Or maybe I am saying elliptical. I don't know. But I may just stop doing that until I see the cardiologist. and focus on the meditation, the deep breathing, the physical therapy type exercises, and see if I can at least reduce it. So no, I don't think I'm going to kill over from a heart attack, but I also know weird things happen to me all the time, so I'm not 100% ruling it out, and I'm going to be safe and make sure. I also have other appointments this month. Like, I have a check-in with my sleep doc. My CPAP, I've been sleeping great, except for like a couple nights ago, but that was the first time in months I'd had a night like that. And usually that only happens when I have to skip my Ambien for one night, because they only give you 30 pills for 31 days. And don't get me started on that today. But anyway, I've been working on my plans for August. I have my planner. I'm using my stickers. We're keeping on. And I don't want to talk anymore because this video has been so long. So at this point, if you're still listening, more power to you, because it is the middle of the week. So I am going to wrap this up. That's been about it from here. Friday, I will have some flip throughs of some new books. I have 4 or 5. I think I have 5. I might have 6. Might have 6. We'll see. I'm still waiting on a few books to come in. But, and then Sunday will be completed pages, and I'll probably post that early on Sunday, like around noon or something like that. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I am so excited about this picture, and I wish I had more time to do pictures like this. I don't know if I enjoyed this as much as I did like the gnome picture I did, just because that one was like so easy, but like this one feels like the work I put into it really paid off. It wasn't like, it was an equal amount of work and success in this one, so I'm still very pleased with it and excited to use these more. Happy I finally colored in this book and can just participate in coloring the tarot, which is a hashtag that Happy Catastrophe Colors started. And yeah, so yeah, those will be happening this weekend, and then I'll probably have a planner video or something middle next week to kick off the month, and then complete pages in the showcase of Watercolor Summer. Again, that Watercolor Summer 2023 with the hashtag in the front is going on till the end of September, so you still have plenty of time if you want to participate, and come join us. One of us. And I will be showcasing those pictures in the second half of my completed pages video at the end of each month. So, which normally involves me just scrolling through Instagram. So I don't have to take a bunch of screenshots. We just do it together. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for all the support. We're in a good period right now, which it's been almost a year. It's been well over a year since I felt this good, and I'm really scared that I just put that towards so gonna talk to my therapist about that one tomorrow. But anyway, thanks guys for watching, and bye for now.